Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, July 2. I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw is hoping to fix the age-old problem of predial larceny by implementing laws that only allow registered farmers to sell their produce. In the same breath, Mr. Shaw says getting registered is the right thing to do. TVJ's Kirk Wright reports.
Agriculture ministers before Audley Shaw have implemented various security initiatives to clamp down on the stealing of agricultural produce. Still, none has yielded any success. The receipt book was the latest initiative to curb farm theft, and now Mr. Shaw wants to make sure that only registered farmers can sell their produce.
For instance, you have the big jam processors down at Williamsfield, right down the road from here. It cannot be that anybody can take up produce and go and sell to them. That would mean that people can steal produce and carry it down to an export facility and without any explanation, without any authorization, without any registration, and selling produce. So we have to strengthen that system.
Mr. Shaw also suggests that formalizing the way businesses are carried out is another way of helping to cut out predial larceny.
The more we make things formal, is the less the criminals are going to be able to abuse us.
He says he's not comfortable with the existing office that handles the illegal practice and says it too must be formalized.
It's too small. It doesn't have a wide enough coverage.
Mr. Shaw also told the gathering that he's particularly passionate about getting rid of predial larceny, partly because he was once a victim.
The first time I planted a peanut, and before I put on my clothes to go to school, I went to reap the peanut and somebody reap it for me. And I cried to school because they never even left one root of peanut for me. That was how bad it was.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
A 5-member election monitoring committee has been established by the Secretariat of the People's National Party, PNP, as part of efforts to quell tension among supporters of the two candidates vying for party president. During its weekly meeting Monday night, the PNP's executive committee approved the members of the oversight body. PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson told our news center that the election monitoring committee will be led by the party's chairman, Fitz Jackson. He also listed the other members.
Michael Vassiana as the legal advisor, Aluna Sambas, the chair of our Internal Affairs Committee, Bercha Whiteman as a member of the Integrity Commission, and Stacey Knight as secretary, who is an attorney at law. The monitoring team will have the responsibility for monitoring the conduct of the campaign during this period.
A code of conduct has also been drafted,
which is going to be sent to both teams for them to peruse, and we are hoping to have a sign-in by the aspirants in short order. Normally the code of conduct is signed at the period of nomination, but we decided that we would bring it forward given that the campaign is already in full steam and that these rules and the conduct need to come into play from now.
Now, there has been a war of words on social media between supporters of incumbent President Dr. Peter Phillips and contender Manchester Central Member of Parliament Peter Bunting. There's a suggestion from the president of the PNP Youth Organization, Crystal Tomlinson, that the government has failed to act in several crime-plagued areas because of prejudices. Ms. Tomlinson, who was speaking in East Kingston, pointed to the use of the state of emergency in St. James multiple times to support her claim.
The only place we see them trying to take security and people's lives seriously is in St. James, and we know why them take the North Coast so seriously. That's where the white people go. That's where the foreigners land. That's where the US dollar comes in. But I don't know when Central Kingston going to get no attention because ain't no white people coming there and ain't no US dollar spending there. I don't know when St. Andrews Western is going to get any kind of attention because there are no white people going there and no US dollar spending there. So God bless any attention them get down there.
Dr. Horace Chang was also a target of her criticism, as she says he is failing as National Security Minister. She charged that since he took over the security portfolio from Robert Montague, Dr. Chang has overseen an increase in murders in multiple police divisions. And we now take a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. We have more stories after these messages. Welcome back, continuing the news. PNP caretaker for the St. Anne's Southwest Division, Valentin Wint, says residents of the Gibraltar community in the parish are barely coping as they are forced to contend with the dust from the bauxite mining activities taking place in the community. Speaking with our news team recently, Mr. Wint said despite the economic benefit of mining, the residents should not have to suffer.
We do know that mining is an economic activity. It would be considered one of the most viable industries in Jamaica at this time. While that may be so, the people in this area are suffering from the excessive dust that is migrating from the mining pits into their homes, into their schools, into their lungs. And many of the young children and even adults have become ill as a result of this activity.
But the dust isn't the residents' only contention. He says the noise has also been a challenge.
But when the mining operation starts in the morning, the noise from the equipment disturbs even the very school. We're seeing the people losing the quiet enjoyment of the clean air and peaceful environment in this particular region.
Gibraltar is located on the outskirts of the cockpit country. Some residents have been calling for the community to be considered a protected area. Now, residents of Connors and Ginger Ridge in St. Catherine are to benefit from water supply plans conceptualized in the 1990s. Speaking at a community meeting recently, Member of Parliament Dr. Christopher Tufton detailed the plan to supply potable water by the end of this year. He also noted that this new infrastructure and the ability to sustain the supply will come with responsibilities.
Now, I have to say that ultimately when it comes to putting in infrastructure of this kind, particularly the solar panels and the pump, it has to be protected by the community. The point about paying the bills, that was the third point. We have to do a little better as communities across Jamaica. Water is life, but frankly speaking, water in your home is not free. It costs money to put it there, so we have to work together to make sure that if you have a little bill, you pay a little bill so we can sustain the system.
The project is being done by the Rural Water Supply Limited at a cost of $65 million. The project is expected to take 6 to 9 months to implement. One resident who spoke with TVJ News expressed her gratitude for the infrastructure.
My head. I can't carry no water from my head. Those are the days of long ago. So the water coming to me, to my home, I'm very, very grateful.
Meanwhile, further afield, at least 23 people have died, 1,000 residents have been evacuated, and some public services have been suspended as India's largest city, Mumbai, experiences its worst rains in over a decade. 20 people were killed Tuesday when a retaining wall collapsed onto huts in a settlement in North Mumbai suburb. 3 others drowned along flooded roads. And we go now to news in sports. At least 2 legal minds say they would be opposed to local track and field governing body, the J3As, excluding 2015 world champion Danielle Williams from Jamaica's World Championships team, even if she earns the Diamond League wildcard. The issue comes on the back of Williams's controversial false start disqualification from the final of the sprint hurdles at the national trials in June. Karen Madden has this TVJ Sports follow-up.
The matter, which has been dominating local sports discussions over the past week, took another turn when President of the Jamaica Administrative Athletics Association, Dr. Warren Blake, was quoted in the Sunday Gleaner as saying that Danielle Williams will not be assured a spot on Jamaica's team to this year's World Championships, even if she wins the prestigious Diamond League trophy. This after the J3s announced that it would select the top 3 women in the event based on the IAAF World Rankings as at August 16, excluding Williams. The World Governing Body has already announced that due to the unusually late date for the World Championships, the 2019 Diamond League winners will qualify to compete. Although not citing the circumstances under which a wildcard invitation could be declined, Blake argued that as the association does with any Diamond League or World Champs winner, it is up to the J3s to decide whether they will accept the invitation on the athlete's behalf. But sports attorney Paul Green disagrees.
After I looked at the IAAF qualification standards for Doha, it's my read looking at page 2 and 3 that if an athlete qualifies as a wild card automatically for the IAAF, no member federation, including the AAA, has any say in it. She would automatically be chosen by the IAAF to go to Doha without any input from the Jamaican Federation whatsoever.
His legal opinion was shared by sports attorney Dr. Emir Crown.
If a member federation has 4 athletes in one event, as a result of this regulation, all 4 will be permitted to compete. So if Jamaica is already sending 3, and if Williams earns the IAAF's wildcard, not Jamaica's wildcard, but the IAAF's wildcard, then the regulation says that all 4 will be permitted to compete. The regulation is very clear and it is in fact using mandatory language.
The IAAF gives wildcard invitations to the World Championships to defending champions from the previous staging, as well as winners of the Diamond League. 2017 Sprint Relays World Champion Omar McLeod has already gained a wildcard invitation to the Qatar World Championships in September and skipped Jamaica's National Championships. Karen Madden, TVJ Sports.
And that brings us to the end of the Midday Newscast. Remember, primetime news is at 7. Please join us then. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, I'm Herman Green. Good afternoon.